Disclaimer, this video is going to be less silly, jokey, funny like my other videos because I actually want to discuss my very mixed emotions on this series and some of the heavier themes it explores. If you're not here for that, feel free to watch something else, but I really want to speak on how reading this series affected me and why I feel kind of let down by it. Spoiler warnings for pretty much the entire anime and manga throughout this video, by the way. Alright, with that out of the way, this was my first time truly reading and watching a BL series. Is a series that I simultaneously love and hate in the same way you love and hate the spicy Mexican burrito you ate last night. Underground! It has genuine heart to it and tackles some topics that I feel some series are only just beginning to scratch the surface of. Makoto is so compelling as a protagonist, and it feels like an examination, not of romance, but of gender identity and unrequited love. But I can't love this series in good faith because it really fumbles a lot. It starts with minor things throughout the series, but by the last 15 to 20 chapters, it gets to a point where it doesn't really feel like the same story anymore, and not in a good way. This lack of consistency means I never really want to revisit the series, because I know how let down I'm going to feel by the ending.
Hello, Moto.
Some people love this series for the nuanced portrayal of human emotion and relation and the inherent fear of confronting the character of yourself. But I feel like, as good as this is, the vehicle that the author uses to convey it to us falls flat. Of course, many of my issues with this series stem from me as a person and my expectations of the story, but it still affects my feelings about it, and I'm going to elaborate on those later, but you'll have to wait for that. My Cross-Dressing Senpai, or is a series written and illustrated by Pom. It began in 2019 and finished in 2021, although a prequel was released in 2023. It began as a sort of one-shot idea before being serialized by Lion Manga and produced by Ichijinsha. Obviously, it was praised for the topics it tackled and the heart the story had to it, leading to an anime adaptation in 2023 from Project Number 9. A movie was also announced with an air date of February 2025.
Hello everybody, my name is Portuguese.
The series follows the life of cross-dressing student Makoto Hanaoka and his two friends at school, longtime childhood friend and classmate Ryuji Taiga, as well as new student Saki Aoi. Makoto meets Saki at school and she declares her love for him despite his cross-dressing, but he turns her down, concerned for her reputation by associating with him. Ryuji also hears of Saki's confession, and this leads to an awakening in his long-time closeted love for Makoto, ever since the two were children. This forms the classic love triangle, and they help Makoto come out to his mother and gain a really stable understanding of love without fear or anxiety. Due to Makoto's rejection of her, as well as some more complicated family matters, Saki tentatively moves to live with her father, while Ryuji and Makoto eventually come to form a romantic relationship, which is just so sweet to watch. We get to see the two look back at their childhood, and especially Ryuji, who analyzes his own long-standing love for Makoto from when they were both young. Seeing young people tackle these emotions in this healthy way is so good, and Ryuji's own journey is super representative of all those who grew up attracted to the same gender without knowing what it means or why they feel that way. Ryuji specifically brings to mind this interview with the frontman of one of my favourite bands, Sigaros, where he talks about discovering his sexuality.
Came out when I was like 21 or something. Lived in the countryside, didn't know anybody who was gay, like nobody. Had best friends who were straight, and yeah, I kind of fell in love with some of them, and because, you know, thought they were amazing, and like, then you realize that, you know, they are straight, they're not in, you know, they love with you as a friend.
It's a great parallel to Makoto's journey of wanting to cross-dress and always feeling out of place when dressed like a boy. Both of them help each other discover why they feel such emotions and how to deal with them, and it makes for a fervently earnest relationship. In the meantime of those two lovebirds, Saki finds her estranged mother. Despite her inconsistency, she learns to form a familial bond with her. This helps her realize that her pursuit of somebody to love was born from a lack of a figure to love in her own life, due to her mother not being present for most of her childhood and her father being way too busy to be at home. This perfect setup for everyone to have a happy ending is suddenly railroaded by the decision to reignite Saki's crush on Makoto, which feels like the author remembering, oh yeah, the series started with Saki and probably should end with her, which leads to her romance being compressed to less than a quarter of the total series and entirely at the end. Ryuji is almost completely dropped and reduced to a wingman, while Makoto and Saki flip-flop their entire personality to suddenly focus on each other despite almost no interaction. This choice really sells the plot for me. It makes no sense other than the author remembering the series is called My Cross-Dressing Senpai and not My Cross-Dressing Crush, which would just be a way better name in my opinion. It feels completely disconnected from the plot of the last 70-ish chapters, and like it's just trying to live up to the initial concept and name rather than the natural progression of the story. I know there's an argument to be made for Saki over Ryuji, but simply by virtue of my gender and life, I find it more natural to resonate with Ryuji and the emotions he cultivates, as well as the more conventional romance he leads with Makoto. As for what's good about this series, I love the themes it tackles: bisexuality, closeted homosexuality, cross-dressing desires, and familial and societal expectations. Seeing these characters communicate "it's okay" to the many LGBT readers is something that still hasn't permeated public consciousness enough. They're all victims of a society that doesn't teach them what these emotions are or how to handle them, but they still find solace in each other and are able to come out happy. The strongest part for me is obviously Ryuji x Makoto and how grounded it is. Every twist and turn the two encounter is something that real people struggling with gender identity and sexuality encounter, and it provides a north star if you are represented to them. The weakest part of this series is easily Saki for me, if that wasn't clear enough already. She pretty clearly loses her place in the series and spends most of her time on her own B-plot, which is good in its own right, but completely disconnected from Makoto and Ryuji, and had really no need to circle back to the romance. She discovers she didn't need a crush or a romance like all her friends were claiming, and she only needed someone to love and someone that would love her back. A parent. But by bringing back the romance with Makoto, it feels like she hasn't learned that lesson and is still pining for love for the sake of love rather than the person she really wants to be with. To conclude, I loved reading this series for the first time, but the more I ruminate on it and reread parts for the video, the more I start to see the holes in its plot and the clear lack of an overarching story. It's as if the author finished the beginning and ending first, then left the main meat of the plot to develop on its own. There are flashes of genuinely great storytelling and romance and character building that's all for nothing in the face of the utterly disappointing ending. For what it's worth, the series gets more right than wrong, but the strength of those wrongs means it can't go any further than a 5.5 out of 10. I'm going to be talking from the top of my head here, but hey guys, sorry for taking a couple months off from videos and everything. I just wasn't really feeling much motivation to, start the next one, even though it was already in progress, and putting aside personal life stuff kept coming up, and school and all that, so But after getting some messages from my friends and just people who are enjoying the channel saying they want to see another video, and with the fact that, this one at the time was like 25% done, I figured might as well pick it up, might as well put it out and see if this gives me the kind of motivation to carry on making more stuff. More anime that I've enjoyed have come out and watched, and I'd love to talk about them, so, I might make videos on them as well, just keep an eye out from the channel. I do want to carry on doing this, of course, it's a lot of fun, but it's just a matter of finding both the time and the energy to, work on videos and all that. But other than that, yeah, I hope you enjoyed and keep an eye out for whatever's next, I guess.